fun. How many people had coffee today? How many people had Philz coffee today?
That's disappointing.
Should be 100%.
90 is fine.
90, that's good. Well, one thing I wanted to start out asking you is you hear the name Philz and the descriptor third wave coffee a decent amount. For those who don't know, and also from your perspective, what does third wave mean?
Well, I think that the first wave of coffee, when people started drinking coffee, it started out pretty crappy to today's standards, but it was just kind of instant coffee. Folgers, Maxwell House, and over time, as the Starbucks and Pete's and Caribou and Coffee Bean came around, they introduced specialty coffee, which is the lattes, the cappuccinos, and it wasn't until the CEO of Starbucks, Howard Schultz, went to Milan and experienced the cafe concept where music was playing and people were actually sitting down and enjoying a coffee. He got inspired and brought that back to Starbucks, because in Starbucks' original stores, they were just selling bulk coffee, beans to go, and they were giving out samples. And he had to convince the founders to try it out, and eventually they did, and now the latte is popular. Third wave is kind of an elevated approach to the experience, both from a supply chain standpoint in terms of the quality of the beans, but also the craft and making sure they're getting the best quality beans possible and handcrafting it in the best way. I wouldn't consider Philz as part of the third wave, though. I don't know if we're part of any wave. We're just doing what we're doing. I think we, from a timing standpoint, when we started, it's kind of aligned with how the other third wave coffee companies started to arise. But I have some feelings about it, because I think that you can do a really good job and care about your product, but you can also be very nice. You don't need to. I think that's important. So.
Well, it must be a cutthroat world today. Goodness knows it's a crowded landscape. Other than rejecting the third wave descriptor, how does Philz stand out? What do you do to set yourself apart?
Well, philosophically, we believe that the best cup of coffee is the one that comes to your taste. But that philosophy carries on way beyond the cup. It carries on into our culture and the way we hire people, our store environment and the store experience, and the process and the way we brew our coffee. So if you look at the Philz menu board, all the blends listed are secret recipe blends that my dad, Phil, has spent decades working on. He believes that blends are very special because the combination of the single origin beans that he's using produce a very smooth, rich, filling, very low in acidity tasting coffee. And those are kind of the traits he was aiming for when he created his blends. And our board has light, medium, and dark roast. So you can go in, and if you like something darker or something medium or light or even decaf, we have it for you. My personal favorite is the Tesora. It's a medium roast. I have like 4 a day, and I get it with honey and cream. I highly recommend it. And with the menu board and the blends and the coffee, that's one piece of it. But to produce the best taste for each individual customer, the process was also really important. So we don't really have much machinery in our stores, and we don't do lattes, which is crazy to some people. But as I stated, earlier in the first wave in the instant coffee, lattes weren't popular. They're just one form of making coffee. So the way we do it is handcraft every cup, one cup at a time, and you kind of walk into a bar full of really great, friendly baristas, and they're handcrafting you the cup of coffee that's perfect for you. And we put in all the, whether it's milk or sugar or honey or Splenda or whatever you want inside of your coffee, we put it in for you. And when we're done, we ask you to take a sip to make sure it's perfect, because we want you to be really happy with it. But it's also, the way we design our stores is also really unique, and I don't know if you want me to stop or finish this thought.
I want to follow up on sort of what you're describing, this idea
I'm caffeinated.
There, hey, aren't we all? It's my favorite legal drug. Do you think that 2016, it could change? Do you think that coffee is really on par with something like wine when it comes to, you're describing a lot of different ways to have it, a lot of complexity, a lot of quality. Some of the third wave mindset people would say, it deserves that respect. We should consume it with that kind of respect and distinction. Others say, I think this, hand roasted, hand selected thing has jumped the shark a little bit. Where do you land?
Well, I mean, you could drink coffee and drive. You can't really do that with wine. I think that everybody's their own person, and if you like something one way, you should have it and enjoy it. Like for me, wine, I really didn't care about the brand. I just wanted something that tasted good and was economical. And now I've been introduced through my girlfriend's dad this high quality wine, and now I'm messed up because I like the good stuff, and I have to pay a lot more money for it. But you might like one thing and I might like something different. And at the end of the day, as long as you celebrate that individuality and you welcome and you respect each individual for who they are and you just want to give them a great experience, that's all that matters. Like the people we hire are really for character, not for resume, because that's service is not something you can necessarily train. It has to come from the heart. So as I said, with the philosophy about the best cup of coffee is the one that comes to your taste, it's not just the cup. It means generally the way you treat people. And I think that personalization is really important. So if people want to compare coffee to wine, then good for them. And if people like a certain single origin or blend that's more expensive, that's great. What we want to do is find the best cup of coffee for each customer and make sure they walk out of there damn happy. And if you're not, we want to redo it because we can customize it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I've heard you sort of speaking to this emphasis on service, or at least have seen you write that you're not necessarily in the coffee business, that you feel like you're in the people business, which sort of led me to wonder what role you think automation might have in terms of maybe replacing some of those jobs in the future that people are doing now.
Well, I think automation is a fantastic thing. I push my CFO every single day to automate the hell out of all, of the recurring non-cognitive tasks so that we can focus on value-add stuff. So there's the pieces that make sense, but I think everybody craves feeling connected, and there's this, neighborhood nostalgia. And I think there's a great metric that says, and I forgot exactly where I read it, but by 2020, around 40% of the workforce is going to be in the contingent category. Which is freelancers, contractors. So the mobile workforce is really changing the way people work, and but people want a sense of place. So our stores are filling up with people working and hanging out, and we love it and we embrace it. But I think that there's certain things that are great as it relates to automation, but nothing could replace human connection and community. And I think that it's interesting because some customers, when they walk in, they give us these great comments because we get a lot of feedback. But the Philz experience is kind of a journey, and it's communal at its core, because you don't start at the register and pay for your coffee, and then they write your name on it. They don't really care about your name. They just want your name so they can write it on the cup. Just give it to you. Philz, you go and you walk up to the barista. You talk directly with the person that's crafting your cup. And then while they're brewing it, you go down to the register and pay, or if you want to hang out and wait for your cup and then pay after, you can. And it's really kind of an honor system. And I think that there's really a spark and a beauty to that sense of discovery and that sense of community. And I don't think anything could replace, the idea of family. So I'm all for automation as it relates to, certain things. But not when it comes to people, and I don't really see a time where we have robots instead of people behind the bar. We are very progressive, and we love challenging norms, and we have an order ahead experience. If you don't have time, you can do that. But I think people are really important, and people are craving that sense of connectedness, and I don't think that's ever going to go away. I think it's at its low point, and Philz is perfect to close that gap. So everybody should go to Philz.
Hear that, everyone. Yeah. Go to Philz. Some places are feeling the pressure to automate as the minimum wage rises, and they say, I just can't afford to pay these prices. How has San Francisco raising their minimum wage to $15 here soon enough?
Yeah.
How is that affecting your business?
Well, it's very expensive to live in San Francisco, as y'all probably know, and it's quite expensive to do business in San Francisco, right? So there's these competing pillars, and I think making $15 an hour or even $20 an hour doesn't make a big difference. It's still tough to live in San Francisco. So I don't know if $1 or $2 makes a difference, but I think you got to do the best you can, particularly in an industry like ours where we're not paying every team member $100,000. And sure, we can pay a little bit more, and we like to pay as much as we can. What's more important is making sure the person feels valued. But we have something called Philz University that is open to all team members, and it really gives them the opportunity to grow their skills. We spend $2,500 just to hire and train one barista because we're very committed. So we're building out a buffet of workshops. We have a really ambitious vision to utilize Philz University to help people develop their skills, to find their passion, and to get inspired, and give them growth opportunity. And many of our store leaders today started as baristas, and they get stock options as a store leader. I guess every company has its own philosophy, but from an economic standpoint, if your labor goes up, you either settle with lower margins or you raise your prices and you risk losing customers. It's math. It's black and white, and it's up to, if you have something really good, you can justify a higher price. But I'm all for the minimum wage, but there's a certain threshold minimum wage increase. But I don't think $1 is going to make a huge difference. Maybe some difference, but over time, businesses are going to have to adjust their prices, and you may even out.
To you, at what price point does it become ridiculous in terms of paying that for a cup of coffee?
Well,
I bet a lot of people here have crossed it.
The question is, how much is happiness worth to you?
Oh, wow.
A bridge toll is like $6.
Yeah.
Right? And a cup of coffee is there to energize you and brighten your day. It's a ritual. So I think it's a damn good deal.
No matter what you're paying. I like that. I personally agree.
Yeah.
That doesn't compromise.
I don't know. Like $5 seems expensive, but people are terrible about pricing things. We always go against what's out there. And, imagine if coffee didn't exist, how much value would you put on a ritual? Like, I'd put more than a bridge toll. So.
Okay. Fair enough. What's next for Philz? What are your expansion plans? How are you going to, wow us all with your next moves?
Well, our team members wow. The community, I don't really do that directly because I'm not at all the stores every day. But we're really passionate about what we're doing because we're not just serving a great cup of coffee and food. We're working on some great food that carries the Philz spirit without sacrificing our focus. But we really love the idea of transmitting the core values that are so important to my dad and I and our team members out into more team members and in more communities, and providing spaces and experiences for people just to be themselves and be comfortable. It's interesting because even though you can categorize us as artisanal, which I consider us, crafters and people who really care about quality, we also have a very diverse group of customers. In the morning at our headquarters, we have a store downstairs, and there's 12 people who work at the Muni who come every single day and get food and get coffee, and they enjoy it, and they all sit at a big community table, and they interact, and they seem like the happiest people in the world. Sometimes I just feel like hanging out with them. I don't, but maybe next time. And I think that there's also, when you look inside of our stores and you see the line, there's also people who are entrepreneurs. There's people who are venture capitalists. There's people who are doctors. There's moms in strollers. So I love the idea of a diverse group of customers and being able to serve them all. And it really ties back to the philosophy that the best experience, the best coffee, the best service is the one that comes to each individual's taste. And if the people behind the counter care enough and they do a great job, it's going to be memorable. So we want to share Philz in more communities around the world. And the number, sure, we have numbers and plans and goals, but what's more important than that is the impact. And every single store matters, and we really believe in the right to earn our growth and earn our reputation, and not just plant stores. So we're ambitious, but the vision is just to really be loved and give love to every community we serve through amazing service, through great coffee, through a warm and welcome environment. It's non-judgmental, it's comfortable. Great Wi-Fi too if you want to hang out. We're not really going to kick you out, but you should get multiple cups if you're going to sit. And yeah, so just keep better and bigger is the way I simply put it. We don't just want to get bigger, we want to get better. There's a lot of great opportunities we have, and we're investing in our stores and store experience and operations to make the experience as best we can.
There are a lot of words you've used that I would associate with a kind of classic view of the San Francisco mentality. No judgment, love, community. What does it mean to be a San Francisco grown coffee operation as opposed to, say, being from Seattle?
Well, I don't know, because we didn't grow up in Seattle. I'm sure it would be fantastic, but I can tell you that when our first store, which used to be a grocery store, my dad had it since the 70s. He used to sell, believe it or not, like Pampers was his #1 seller. He used to sell Pampers. It was like a grocery store. And eventually it transitioned to a coffee shop. But back then, the Mission, we're in 24th and Folsom, it's a very different neighborhood than it is today. I used to see a lot more crime and a lot more violence, and it's different today. In some cases, better, and questionably in other cases, you kind of miss certain aspects of it. But I think the world is getting better. I feel good about everything, and I don't know if we were in Seattle it would be any different. I mean, we'd be a Seattle company, but we're a San Francisco company, and we're proud of that.
Yeah, a lot of cities are feeling a sense of transition, tension, but it sounds like you are going to heal all of the woes.
We're just going to do the best we can and stay humble and stay focused and stay hungry, and one customer at a time.
Okay, yeah. Beautiful. I think we might have time for one question. Nope, just kidding. We don't care what any of you think.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for the chat, and thank you for making beautiful cups of coffee every day. There. We should all go have an afternoon cup. There.
Agreed.
Okay. Yeah, or 3.